Alright, it's another video from the Weiss Schwarz Club. You got Myth. You got Kaichou over there.
Again, guys.
Alright, so closing it up, we got our Seat C matchup. This will be Kaichou playing the 8 choice slime, and then I'll be piloting the 8 gate rental girlfriend. So, you want to talk about like what Seat C is? Just kind of refresher of why you think this is going to be the Seat C deck.
Yeah, CC decks usually definitely not your meta decks unless you play reverse, but that's another story. It's CC usually it's a deck that it's a kind of rogue deck. This is where all like the two soul deck maybes are. The decks that are like have some neat mechanic, uh not necessarily like OP, but something that your opponent wouldn't expect. So then that's how we quote unquote call it the cheese seat.
Yeah, we'll refer to this a bit as the McDonald's zone because kind of the idea of Seat C is that this is the most volatile kind of matchup. This is where like everyone like because your first seat is your primary meta, your B seat is like your pretty safe pick. You need that one deck that they're just gonna like steal games, right? They need to be able to like win a game out of nowhere, and
Yeah, catch your opponents off guard. But they're like, what set is this? Or like, oh, this set has like some high roll top end, super explosive, super fast.
like it's very much a like feast or famine style, right? Because this is kind of where you want your this is where the game three type of situation happens. This is the matchup that you watch and decides if you get the win in the round. Like
Yep, usually your team is like 1-1, and then it's all up to C. It's time to see the like all in, and hopefully you win the all in.
it's kind of a interesting dynamic because this is also the seed that tends to have more of the faster games in most cases because they're so volatile. So it kind of
Yeah,
helps ease the other two seats if you win, or puts them a little more on edge if you lose. So a little bit of
yeah,
mental strategy if you're trying to kind of game a little bit of what SpringFest has to offer. In my opinion, you definitely want your seat C to be playing really volatile if you're gonna have like that ideal composition.
yeah. Basically, if you're A or B, you see the C wins. Oh, your mental is safe. Only one of you needs to win, and like there's no way. And if all three of you loses, or all two of you loses, well, unlucky.
Yeah. No, the real kicker is if the C guy wins and then the other two players lose, and you're just like, yo, what?
Yeah, you get the sweep, but it also works on the enemy mental, right? So if your opponent, like their seat C loses super fast, and then now you're A and B on the losing side, you're like, well, now both of us has to win, or else we can't move on.
Yep. But let's just jump right into it. Just let it go through. So,
Yep.
yeah,
So I have here the eight choice slime deck. I think this list is like eight choice slime, super explosive, top end. All you need to do is just attack your opponent, like turn cards sideways, and they'll eat the damage eventually because you'll run out of climaxes. That's why I think it's a super volatile deck. What about you?
but over here I'm running the 8 gate Kanakari. I think this deck is a little more volatile in the sense of like, because my early game is pretty much all about like pushing just raw soul damage to tip the opponent out of their element. So there's no like slow development in this deck. It's basically I'm rushing at your face, and hopefully that momentum just like topples you over. Like
Yeah, like CC, both sides are rushing, so eventually someone has to lose the rush, right?
yep. Some of the cards that help out with that is this Ruka. It has the accelerate. Put a card, put a character from waiting room to bottom of the clock to get 1500 in chaser. It synergizes well with that Ruka back row, which is a tap self brainstorm search, but also once per turn when you use an accelerate, you get a draw ditch. So, kind of help generate that early game tempo with a little bit of raw rush. And because you're a 4K, you just like shut out that 3-5 beat or chaser, like
Yeah, which is why I also play the Twin Drive, which becomes 4K. She gains 3K if you have another character on your turn, so just solid 4K beats like with Twin Drive. And Twin Drive doesn't really matter in the first turn, but later in the game, being able to Twin Drive and trigger more choices is always good in the 8 choice deck.
yeah. So just standard like pretty nice opener where we're both kind of getting to show a little bit of like raw opening, like what Seat C is all about, right?
Yeah, you
Like
just take
4K beaters at level 0, most people are like used to 3.5, but it's like, okay, now I can't even beat over it with
yeah.
my own 3.5, and it kind of starts adding that little bit of pressure to the way the game is played. Just open up with a Ruka, Rita here, just start developing that waiting room.
But this brainstormer is also pretty solid for the rush deck too, right?
Yep, every time I place a gate, I get to pump an additional soul, so it's kind of just playing all in on that, like, McDonald's strategy, as we've
Yeah,
been
the
kind of
level one
calling it.
game. You're gonna be swinging like 3-2-2. Maybe you have another one. You can swing 3-3-2, like some big numbers.
Yeah, directs become like super crazy, scary. Like,
Play this Ricky. This Ricky's kind of KW, but it does mill climax, which means it minuses 1k to the Rook. So she's now 2k. But even then, because you have two more others, I can't kill it because of that baseline.
yeah. So this forces you to just go over to the left and swing.
Yeah, we just take as much damage as possible here, because we know we're gonna be eating damage later because of if you hit one anyways. So you're gonna be able to send the climax.
Yep. So, just level up, keep going. Yeah. So like, kind of Seat C's like entire dynamic is very like it's about sending a certain message. This is like it's not just cheese strats necessarily. It's like this is the seat where you usually want to put someone off their game, and then that energy kind of like your teammates will feel it. Like when that one player is just like completely blasted off the face of the planet. Like,
Yeah, that momentum will help rest. Basically the game flow in real life, with the other players.
yep. So hitting a 2 off the search, letting me set up to extend my board a little bit. Go full McDonald's here with a tri lane and jam down a climax. A little bit unfortunate because you do go a little bit slow at developing, so I'm not able to get multiple reverses, but I'm just like, all right, we'll take what I can get.
Yeah, because the level one combo in this slime deck requires a full board. I think taking it slow here just because you can save resources for the level one. There's no reason to opt more because you are playing reverse combo, right? It's kind of disseminated now. But the risk is that if I do take a lot of damage in the open lanes, it's gonna be really hard to recover after.
Yep. So here's a 4. This
Yeah,
is
the cancel out of four with the natural cancels to mill my deck,
but this
like
is kind
these.
of what the McDonald's board is, or like table is gonna be all about, right? Like, yeah, I'm swinging for larger numbers, but like if you take them, everyone kind of like winces a little bit who's watching the game, right? Like, it's that type of like you affect the air of the game by being more like volatile. You make plays that can just utterly shut out the opponent. At the same time, you can also make plays that kind of explode in their face or in your own face, right? Like,
Eating a four never is good. Never like feels good either.
yeah, exactly. Like
Maybe your teammates listen to that and they're like, "Well, might be tilted."
the moment you hear the "wait, what?" or the "oh my god," like that that's not something that you would particularly be settled for unless something's up. But here's another
Another
4.
four here. If I take this, it'd be doomed. But natural mill of the deck.
Like they
Get the last card because the slime deck doesn't have mill. I also, we're too poor here, so we can't afford Fukas, which would definitely be better. The Ricky is like a semi mill. It did mill three there, so I would have taken the four if I didn't mill
Yep.
the three, which was kind of like sad state. But yeah, if you do like glass card cancel, mill is not necessarily needed. But
Yeah.
you think it's always gonna happen? Probably not.
Like this is one of those like you kind of accept that things can go wrong, but at the same time you're just like, okay, yeah, I have to let it let him make it basically, right? Like you
Yeah,
either and this is where you're like, wait, I don't need triple
I don't need
route,
triple combo.
so you're just like, all right, let me go get a twin driver, just help.
Some chomp. Yeah. So basically, if I were to like had another character, like maybe like he would have swung for three. Maybe I would have taken the three, draw to climax. Now that would have been even tilted situation, right? So like just certain like luck. CT's like super luck based because like anything can happen with the big numbers, or you get unlucky with your climax's
Yeah.
position.
Like,
So
make no mistake, like, we're talking about this like it's a luck-based situation, but there's definitely a level of skill to, like, be able to navigate through these situations. So it's like,
yeah,
this is one of, but this is like, of the seats where CA is like primarily about like control, kind of like playing that slow pace, like lock down the opponent type of style. CP is more about being safe and like getting that consistent win. CC is like, if you have like a group of friends, CC is where you put your loose cannon friend who you can expect to have anything happen, right? Like, you want this guy to like basically go full McDonald's.
yeah, take like a lot of risks here because uh even you have to make the risky plays because like right now my deck there's like two climaxes. I triggered one. So there's only one. There's one in like 8 cards, which is like super interesting because if you're playing as a standby deck, nothing really matters. But a 1k1 deck, it actually is pretty scary with like 1 in 8.
And then especially if you're playing against a deck that definitely is willing to like take blows against you, right? Like, this is one of those decks where you're like really scared to let someone go their own way.
Hmm.
Like, like, I like to imagine like this is the prime deck for all the Soul Rush decks, especially like, so those Conclave Sendai Soul Rushers. This is where the just the two soul decks in general would basically come into play, and then just watch like the most like back and forth like slugfest.
Yeah, could be one of the newer players on your team. Be like, here, just play this 2 soul deck and just tap cards sideways.
Just get in there. This is like definitely like the seat where you really have to be more accepting of just the natural game of Weiss Schwarz. Like, there's no like punishing bad decisions here, right? Everything is a bad decision in some way because of the way that these games play out, Like,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of whether you play into them or you make one that ends up being more like drastic.
Yep. So here you refresh a climax. Fortunately, this turn you didn't have a climax, so it was a little safe here.
Yeah, so I just kind of have to go for one of the slower bits of McDonald's. Thankfully, you do take all the damage, so it does help
Yeah.
maintain like even keel. But
Yep. Because the last card climax, happens in way shorts. You gotta accept.
yep, like C is definitely where you have to also play a little bit loose. Like, there's not really a strict game plan in most of these games, right? Like, there's none of this, like, it's not like, say, in CA, where because both players are playing pretty prevalent decks, so you kind of get a feel for, well, like, what the opponent wants to do, what the opponent could do. But in Seat C, you have to fly by the seat of your pants. You're, like, watching this guy do new stuff or do stuff that you probably don't see on a daily basis in your Weiss local like games. So
Yeah. So like even during this game, we are both pretty chill, just like having some interactions. Like the person shouldn't really care too much about the game. More like you should just try to do what you want to do, and then see what your opponent's trying to do, and like just work around that. Work with what you get basically, instead of trying to like focus on forcing the plan.
yep, like this is one of those games like Seat C is like, if you want to learn how to like stretch test your deck, you sit at Seat C regardless of what deck you're playing, because especially if you're like coming up with an original like style or like a custom like way of playing the game, you need information that isn't just going to be predicated on predictable elements, right? You need that little bit of that unknown thrown in, and you learn that basically by playing against the most unexpected stuff. Like,
Yep.
it's partially why, like, for Kaichou Oh, and I like because Kaichou, you're more of a seat B, seat A type of player, whereas I'm more of a seat B, seat C type of
Hmm.
guy. Where the dynamic is you kind of play one player plays really safe, right? Kind of plays to the meta, and then you have one person who's a little bit more like loose, and then because you have those two members, then your third guy doesn't really matter because you already have a balance of what you're doing.
Yeah. So here, I did mill 2 climaxes off the brainstorm, which means I went back with 6. There's 4 on the deck. Good thing Alan Brainstorm allows me to check 3, so we can mill a little bit. I think I also checked another climax, so there's like 3 or 2 left in the deck. Unfortunately, yeah. But at this point, I think you just gotta hope for the best. It's try to not like tilts because that's like that's an A and B seed style. See, you're just trying to play the game, have fun. Whatever happens, happens.
Yep, like this is why the show match was especially fun because it's like you kind of get to see that development of how we play, right? Like CA is like we're pretty calm and collected. We have to actually think about our pull-up lines of play a little bit more in depth. Seat B, we kind of play it safe, and then seat C, we're kind of just going, all right, time to let it all hang and go
Yep.
for it. So just a lot of
I got a little misplay. Forgot to salvage there. We don't talk about it. Too much cheese happening in this game.
yeah, we
But
definitely went to McDonald's a little earlier than expected because
yeah.
yeah, it's kind
But
of
this
weird.
is like the third round of the tournament. If you're playing 3 rounds later, maybe your brain's like fried because you have to play a lot of Swiss rounds.
Yeah, like just for context, guys, like we're basically at the equivalent of like round 5 by the time we were playing this because this is we had to record the audio after each game. That way we could keep our what
Yeah,
we
so that's
knew about
another
the game
climax trigger.
fresh. So,
2 climax triggers back.
ooh.
Unfortunate, but I do have the stock. So worst case scenario, I do hit 3 here, and I have 7 stock to do combo. The only problem is I never saw the 3-2 Rimuru because I stocked 2 of them early game, so the first 2 stock, and then the other 2 are in the deck.
Yep.
So I never had a chance to pick them up. Uh, so we'll see eventually
Yep.
that I'll pick them up. But yeah, being able to keep track of those is very important for this type of deck because it does require you to like pay stock and then summon the card you want. So you gotta make sure you remember.
Yep. So here we go. Just kind of middle of
So at
two.
this point, I had 2 climaxes left in the deck, so it could be very likely I hit level 3 here.
Like I think natural state of the game. It kind of depends on what happens, but like the key thing is more about like me needing to like force that on the game.
Yeah,
So here
and
we
going
drop
-2
two
for
of
the
our.
event.
Well, it's -2 for now, but then like it kind of works out because I end up utilizing it
Yeah,
anyways.
and you get
So
because you combo here, right? So you get it back.
yeah, so the
That's
idea at
right.
this point is that I'm using the combo to get the 3-2s into my hand. That way I can proc the event, so it's no longer a -2.
Hmm.
A little awkward, but we're just
So the
going for
big
big
swing,
swings.
I take the 4 here. There are the 2 Rimurus left in the deck. All 4 are accounted for.
And you're just like, well, here goes
Well, how am
something.
I supposed to grab this? Oh, I cancel, which is pretty fortunate because this deck has no salvage, it has no combo, and I play a drop salvage, and then a salvage Ricky. So those are the only options to salvage. Uh, because I'm on a climax, it's the pitch climax salvage doesn't do anything, and so since these are not gonna go back into the deck, it's really hard to get them off, like a brainstorm or something.
Yeah, so this is where I'm just going for some McDonald's attacks here. This was 4-2-3. You swing.
Yeah, that's a lot of deck left with 1 climax, but sometimes you're always lucky.
It
Yeah,
happens. So like this is the part where we're both laughing about like just kind of hoping that someone's going to McDonald's soon. And
yeah. Because if I reached 3 there, it would have been super bad because I had to reset the deck and somehow get the Rimuru back into my hand. So without climax also, which is kind of scary. But fortunately, I was able to cancel and then just get out of the deck state real fast.
yep.
So now the deck is clean. There's like 10, 12 cards in there.
Just clock,
Just clock
get
here.
through
Just
it.
get them on the mill.
You know, a couple brainstorms, just pay out the one choice, and
5x.
then
Yeah, I could have paid the other one because I chose stock anyway, so it's fine.
I
Well,
mean,
actually, I could have paid it out, but I opted to not pay it out. Just get 3 clean triggers. Never risk the next deck.
yep.
So 3. And here we're just basically just swing 3 past. No need to think about this turn. Not really much you can do, except just go clean.
I mean, that's kind of also what happens in the because these CT decks are like not built 100% for consistency. So you kind of have these turns where you're like not particularly developing that much.
Yeah, so I could pay 1 to get the stock, which was me triggering the new deck. Or I can just take the 3 clean triggers and then hopefully somehow get the rumors next turn.
Yep. So then,
Which worked out.
you
So
refresh
we'll go
with
back
all
6 because I'm
7.
holding the door, or I'm holding the choice because I grabbed it off the brainstorm.
And then you also have one still stuck in there,
Stuck.
but
Yeah,
it's fine. Like
6 is that small of a deck. It's pretty good compression. 7 stock, 6 cards in the clock, 6 hand, pretty decent.
yep. But you know, this is where that volatility of the McDonald's could have come into play, right? Like this is just as likely a deck that can kill you as one that you're kind of comfortable with. But you know, so this is kind of a weird deck state for me here. So what I want to do is I want to get the level 3 gate in my hand. So originally I tried to clock for it. Unfortunately, I don't get it. And then I'm just like, what do I do here? So, because I can't get to 3 at this point to like maybe get in. So it's like, okay, options are to use the events, get my heals off right now. Yep, there we go.
So you didn't have the other change target, right? Hand.
I had one, but the problem was basically the gate is right in front of me, and there's no way for me to get it. So this is where I perform like the world's greatest gymnastics to maybe cheese into it. Like there is a line where I just go to 3 and look for
Yeah, then
it,
play
but
check 3. Yeah, but then if you miss, right, that's even more risky because then this deck can kind of kill. Could definitely kill 3.
like
But you increase your chances of like not dying here by go healing 3 times.
especially because of kind of the sequence you're going to see me do here. So this is another cool part of CT decks, in my opinion, is that it surprises a lot of people what type of like extensions of play are available to a given player. So like right here, I grab Cowgirl, I grab a 2/1 just to get defensive power, but this also helps because I start off out 2. Um, so then I need to go like that. Yep.
2, so you refresh 6, right? I remember.
Yeah,
Or 7.
I refresh 7.
Okay.
So
So we
then
go to
now I'm at
5.
5. Pitch draw. I draw the level 1 gate here.
That's your 4.
Yep. So then I play over. I stock heal.
Yep.
I
Door.
use this Chizuru to help brainstorm. And
Go down to 2.
I go down to 2. So you can see where the duality of these McDonald's decks can be. This is
Yeah, you either would have triggered it or you mill out of the brainstorm, right? So
yep. So then at this point now I'm just like, okay, grab these.
maybe take 2 cards with Cowgirl.
Yep. Because at this point there's one left in the deck or one
There's 2. There's 2, right? or one of the
One
level
level
3, right?
3, yeah. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a blank trigger. All right, you know what, Shrek? This is the
Just
McDonald's.
take the blank trigger here.
Yeah, this is just
Yeah.
McDonald's thing at its finest here.
Yep. You did heal 3 times though. It's pretty solid in like a normal.
In a
Uh,
normal deck, this is kind of that duality I'm talking about with CC usually,
yeah.
where it's like, on the one hand, this is in theory a kill board for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, there's 2, maybe on like 15, 20 cards.
There's 2 in 9 plus is 4. It's 2 and 13.
Okay, that's not too bad. You're at 2-4. I need to do 10 damage.
Yep.
Okay.
But you are at 3-6, which is pretty funny because I'm just like,
This
meh.
one was, yeah, it was a little tragic, but I also top decked the Ricky, so it was saved because the Ricky allows me to salvage anything. It's an on-death Ricky, so you can always force it, but I need a heal, right? So let me just play over my Ricky with the healer,
Yep.
and then we heal first, and then we Ricky, leaving us as 3-6 again because Rimuru will heal us infinite. So as long as we get that off, we're chilling.
Yep.
It's
And
like the
this is
classic 1 HP in a dream, you know?
Mr. One. So at this
Yeah,
point, we're fully bought into the McDonald's meme because,
I just need all in because I'm gonna be dead. So
I mean, one of us is dying soon.
yeah,
Like I was, so the once we get to the what is it, the third swing, you'll
yeah.
you'll
Then I
see
swap
why.
into the other lane.
Yeah, this is where you'll realize why it was pretty funny how this game turned out.
Yep,
So
I'm at 4 stock here. Uh, some lucky choice triggers because a choice slime. Always triggering choice.
yep, this is just raw
And I do have,
explosiveness.
yeah, 2 copies of the Rimuru in the first and second slot of my stock. So just remembering that when I attack, because the first one will be at 5, then I can pay 3
Yep,
to pay it out. But there's also a copy in the waiting room, so it's not the worst thing if I don't pay it.
and then you choice, and then you're like saved.
Yeah, so I can choose the hand here, uh, to go for the fourth one, or I can choose the stock here and hopefully get something else, another swing off. So I just chose the stock here because I
Yep.
think I already have the 3 hands. I'm guaranteed 3 attacks or 3 combos, which is fine, and I'm still able to pay out the first and second because the second river will be able to pay that.
Yeah. So this is where I'm
It's like
kind of just like, okay, 2 and 13. All right, if I take it, I take it. If not, uh, it is what it is. I have the accelerate counter in my hand,
the torch.
the torch, where I have to take a
Yeah,
damage first.
taking damage, but it's not from the top, so it's like a fake torch.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, at this point,
Yeah,
this is just me being like, okay, sure. Now we're at 2 and 10. Maybe I cancel like one here, and then I use the torch afterwards.
yeah. The only thinking that requires from this deck is a level 3 and don't don't mess with the combo.
And this is where you're just counting to make sure that we're all Gucci. Like,
Yeah, because yeah, so I have 3 stock. If I remember right, because I go to 6, go to 3.
yep,
So I swing to 4, and then I pay it out. I can have to swing here to pay it out the second stock. So which is why I have to swing with the rim root instead of opposing to swing with the other lanes. I don't have enough. But I also have to count because if I swing with Rimuru first, and then like the number in the deck doesn't match, because Rimuru does have to mill 3,
and this is
so you
where
gotta just
both of us are just
torch
really
it.
confused because now I'm at a 2 and 7,
2 and 7, yeah.
and I'm
I
just
pay
like,
it out.
wait, hold up,
I have no choice off every combo.
and
Uh,
then
now, because I only have 1 stock, I can't swing Rimuru, so I have to swing somewhere else.
yep,
Hmm. But at this point, we swing for the big number because maybe you take it and then you have 3-6 anyways, so you can't clock.
yep,
But I just hope we need to stick with 3 here, so 3-6. 2 and 7, right?
2 and 7, and then this is where I actually activate the accelerate counter, put
2 and 7,
myself
right?
into
No
full
way.
Sudoku.
Yeah, that's fine. Just choice anything to hand because you can't do the third combo or the fourth combo just
Yeah.
because of the deck. The deck works.
So then I also do the counter just to save the character anyways, but it's just like one of those there's no way I die here, question mark.
2 and 7.
2 and 7.
But you take the 1, so you could just die from the 3 right here.
Yeah, so that's where I'm just like, and this is kind of that duality, right? Where, sometimes you just gotta make risks that are like really dumb, and sometimes they work out.
All right, so now it's 1 and 3, 2 and 6. It's 50-50. You cancel here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just basically like, all right, I think I'll live here. You know what? Why not?
It's 50-50, right? You check 1 if the next card's a climax, it's kind of doomed, and you check 4 and you see 2 climax, you're also doomed.
Yeah, so this is where
So
I just am like, all right, you know what? Big memes. We're going full
50-50.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's not gonna get any better than this.
If the only way you die here is if 3 at the top is clean.
Yeah, which is gonna be ironic because that means that there's 10 on the top that was clean.
10 at the top, but you were dead anyways.
And then we're just like, wait, what?
And there was 10 at the top was clean.
We just look and we're just like, wait a minute.
No. Yup.
But yeah,
So risk reward with the torches.
Yeah, definitely. But this is one of those like examples of just what CC is all about. It's all about making these risky plays, making these explosive goes, just YOLOing, basically. But yeah, this is concluding that. If this were the Bushiroad like official setup where there were 3 copies of me and 3 copies of Kaichou's team would get the next round or win the event if this were the finals.
Kites, dude.
Team Kites. But yeah. But thanks again for watching, guys. And if you guys like these type of show matches, let us know what you want to see. Whether it's the just exhibition style where you see a couple of decks going at it, like our first show match. If you like the Assault Lily like set show match where we get to show you guys like full extent of what the set it has to offer, or even just these type of like for fun, like let's just see what 3 decks do type of thing. Let us know in the comments. Any last words about this format, like just in general for SpringFest, Kaichou?
Yeah, I don't, not really. Just good luck to other people playing. Fortunately, it was too far for us, so we're not able to make it. But just remember, just have fun playing Weiss Schwarz, and remember to count your cards.
No way, there's no way to die here, right?
Yeah, no way you die here.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.